Hey there, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well today. So, for Wednesday's class, we'll be doing a few online things. And keep in mind that on Monday, our Zoom meetings will continue for both comp and for lab. And I do have a few announcements. So, the first announcement I would like to make is that it's important to be able to keep up with everything that's online on Wednesdays as well. Keep in mind that the Zoom meetings are only one part of the course, so if you're not doing the online materials on Wednesdays as well for our hybrid model of the course, because it's important to keep up with the textbook readings, the class discussions, and whatever materials I put out for that day. And to find most of what's happening for that course for that day, I do post it under announcements. So if you need to go back and find things for that particular day, it's important to do so and to go back and look at announcements. And two, you can always look back at the videos too. So please keep that in mind as well going forward. Also, the second announcement I would like to make to everybody is that hopefully everyone has their textbooks in by now. Because I've had the textbook information out for about 4 weeks now. So everyone should hopefully have their textbook in hand. If you do not, I would recommend getting in contact with the seller that you bought the textbook through, either through the JCC bookstore or Amazon or wherever you bought the textbook. If you do not have it in hand by now, I would suggest contacting the seller and getting that done because that is everyone's sole responsibility. That is every student's responsibility. Everyone should have the textbook purchased and hopefully in hand or hopefully will be very soon in their possession because I will not be posting the readings for week 3 and onwards. I did post the readings for week 1 and 2. And just as a little reminder, the week 2 reading talks about paper invention and writing strategies. So if you need those sort of review of the strategies, you can take a look at that on Blackboard. And like I said, there's no shame in going back to rewatch a video or taking a look at the lessons or at the syllabus and course schedule. I'm trying to get you all used to that because for probably the next few months in particular, and maybe even possibly for the spring semester, most of our classes will be online and through a hybrid model. So I'm trying to get my students all accustomed to this sort of structure that we're going through. But anyway, moving on from that, what we'll be doing today, let's take a look at our course schedule real quick. So today is Wednesday, September 9th. And what we'll be doing today is talking about academic essay structure, the essay number 1 pre-writing, and if you have not already, you should begin pre-writing and also writing your draft of the first paper. And I will post the discussion board number 3 today as well. So keep that in mind too, that the discussion board 3 will be due on Monday by noon, and you should begin drafting and revising your paper. But like I said, next Monday we will resume our class meetings on Zoom, so stay tuned to your email this weekend. I will send an invitation out for our Monday meetings this weekend as well. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Also, just as a little reminder, if you're wondering if you need to get outside help or additional help on the papers, you can, of course, feel free to stop in during my office hours on Friday from the 3 to 5 p.m. And if you want an appointment slot during my office hours, please let me know. We can arrange that, or you can just kind of wander in. That's fine too. But keep in mind, if you need additional help on a paper, you can still get free tutoring from the Learning Center. All you do is click on these directions, and it will take you to the directions on how to make an appointment with a tutor through Starfish. Or you can call one of the learning centers. And for our purposes, you would be calling the Cattaraugus Learning Center. And they can help you out with papers, they can help you out with any sort of coursework that you're struggling with. And I will show you these directions too, real quick. So this is how to make a peer tutoring appointment and how to log in through Starfish, and also how to make an appointment with a tutor. So if you follow the directions below, you can schedule an appointment if you need help with papers or any part of the writing process. They are more than willing to help you. They often have great insights. I have even taught some of the tutors that actually tutor Comp 1 and Comp 2, and they're wonderful. They have great insights into the writing process and much experience. So if you follow the directions, like I said, you can even schedule an appointment through Starfish. You can select a certain date, sort of tell them what you need help with, and then you will receive confirmation email. You can even make it a reminder prior to your appointment. So keep in mind that for online tutoring, they often use email or phone. Especially, they use email to exchange documents and can also be used for composition help with writing papers. And of course, they can always call you too. If you don't have like a high-speed internet connection, you can always call them and they can always talk you through it too. So keep that in mind. Anyway, going from there, I would like to finish up the lesson 4, history of the essay. So anyways, to add on to the thoughts and a sort of review, what are essays and what uses do they often have? So essays are a means of expression in terms of audience. They seek to entertain, inform, persuade like any other text. They can also serve as a means of exploration, writing to learn via analysis or coping with an experience one might have had, the sort of personal and reflective writing. Can also be used as a means of evaluation as a gatekeeping device to the academic. So my purposes and my concerns, of course, is to give you tools to write effectively for your purposes and to give you tools to write effectively for others' purposes too. Okay, so looking back at Michael de Montaigne here, it's interesting to keep in mind the origin of the word essay. Of course, as we mentioned, the essay, especially the academic essay, has become a thing with function and purpose, mostly with a persuasive purpose. So, essay is rhetoric, a not so modern history. Rhetoric seeks to affect change in how an audience thinks, feels, or acts. Therefore, the writer, the author, speaker, or designer, must constantly consider their purpose and their audience to be effective. What audience do you have in academic writing? So in this particular purpose, or in our particular case, um, the audience you have in your academic writing for this first paper would be me in this case, or your professor. As Elbow suggests, that we spend far too much time writing for this area, and that we'll never become good writers without the opportunity to write for other areas. Also, note that for every shift in audience, we are likely to shift our compositions, Example Essay 1 Reflections. Still, most academic essays will have the audience of one with a dual purpose of showing what we know and changing our audience. So to do this, we should employ rhetorical modes of appeal, establishing credibility and authority, using ideas logically, and appeals to emotions. And often we sometimes do this in papers without even realizing it. So this is the invention for the discourse community analysis and what you should be looking at for invention and drafting in terms of ethos, logos, and pathos. And if you have not already, I would suggest drafting your introduction and thesis and claim. And this week, I would definitely get started on your body paragraphs before Monday, because on Monday we will be doing an in-class writing workshop together. So anyway, moving on to day 5. So as a sort of mini review of the week 2 reading, chapters 29 and 30 were about generating ideas and drafting. That's why I would suggest taking a look at that if you have not already. So chapter 29 talks about writing strategies. What sort of writing strategy did you try out? How did it work? When would you use it? And when would you not use it? So today we're going to begin generating ideas and begin drafting. So thinking back to ancient Greece, they often have the writing cycle of invention, arrangement, and style. So why separate these out? So for chapter 30, what strategies, tips, and habits help us move from generating ideas to drafting? And these are the basic components of an academic essay, which is of course an introduction with claim, reasons with supporting details, and a conclusion. So now that we've invented material for our essays, we need to arrange that material into an academic argument, aka an essay, the form that is expected within most discourses of power. So thinking about that, here's a hypothetical situation to be considering. A new disease has nearly wiped out all the plants in the world. In desperation, the US government went to work on a vaccine. However, the CDC has invented a cure that can save only one plant species. They are asking for a response from the public to decide which plant species we will save. Each community is to vote for one selection. All other plant species will die. So which plant would you choose? How will you convince your community? Make a case for the selection of that species for an upcoming community forum, and making decisions, inventing ideas, and begin drafting your idea. So this is just a hypothetical situation to consider in terms of this lesson. So like I said, introduction and conclusion are needed for each academic essay. The intro and conclusion serve as end caps to the body of your paper. Your introduction acts like a map for your readers. A good introduction addresses the what, why, and how of your topic. What is your essay going to discuss? Why is it important or useful? How are you going to argue your points? The goal of your conclusion isn't to introduce any new ideas, but to sum up everything you've written. So here's the first standalone paragraph. What is going on? Who is involved? It is imperative to explain to your reader the nature of your debate. Only after your audience understands the situation, only then can you make a claim for them. So here's a sample introduction. In response to the rash of unexpected plant deaths across the nation, the U.S. government has issued emergency action. Without the presence of many plant species, the life that humans are used to is radically changing. In a devastating turn of events, the U.S. government was able to concoct a cure for only 1 out of millions of species on the planet. The Center for Disease Control recently issued a call for responses from the public to decide which plant species will be saved. The future of the planet hangs in the balance. So thinking about that further, your claim or your thesis statement is your truth statement. It is the claim. A claim is the foundation of any given composition, therefore it comes early within the essay, typically within the introduction. A claim is what you want the reader to know, think, believe, or do, and everything in the essay points back to the claim. It should be debatable and require evidence. A claim is what you want the reader to know, think, believe, or do, and everything in the essay points back to the claim. So here's the sample introduction I just read with a claim and thesis statement and overall reason. So their thesis statement in this case is, after a long and private deliberation, it is clear that the sweet pea is the most beneficial and important plant on which to use the unique cure due to its enduring and efficient usefulness. And here's a sample introduction for a discourse community analysis that someone actually wrote about joining the high school marching band. Now, feel free to read this at your leisure, but I'm just going to focus on the thesis statement for a moment. However, it wasn't all easy, and the struggle to become a legitimate member did not end with my conductor telling me to be quiet. Rather, it took me 4 long years of intense training to get the music, sound, steps, lingo, and group traditions down enough to be considered a legitimate member of the Richardson High School Marching Band. Now, your reasons tell us why the claim is valid. They offer support for the claim. Each new reason is often a new paragraph. Paragraphs deal with only one point or idea at a time. And where do they belong, or why? So they claim, I am a legitimate member of the high school marching band because I have mastered through intense training the music, sound, steps, lingo, and traditions of the group. Now, adding on to that, they have a sample introduction with claim and then a supporting reason. So what this writer is doing in this hypothetical case is adding on as they keep writing. So sweet peas grow very quickly and so will always cost very little to cultivate and care for, and it will ensure ongoing sources of inexpensive food. And of course, supporting details and evidence are equally important because they do just that, they support. They explain your reasons, they talk about the reasons for the reader to better understand what is being said. So what they're saying within their claim, I am a legitimate member of the high school marching band because I have mastered intense training through music, sound, steps, lingo, and traditions of the group. And otherwise what they're saying is I have mastered the logos, the pathos, and the ethos of that particular group. So then they add on their evidence as well. When people are deciding to save a species, they may pick plants like orchids or Venus flytraps that are difficult to grow and therefore expensive and exclusive. But sweet peas, on the other hand, are common, cheap, and easy to breed, so that every household can access them no matter the experience level or expense. So then they go on to add their supporting reasoning. Even the poorest and most struggling of us can afford those easy to grow plants. It is clearly the sweet pea that is the most affordable, accessible option left. Now, one thing to keep in mind that the process of writing that we use, invention, arrangement, and style, isn't always as linear as it appears. We typically change our minds about the claims we're making while we compose. And that's okay. That's part of the writing process. So the invention stage never really ends until we've decided that it's ended. The same goes for the arrangement stage and the style stage. So what you should be thinking about now is deciding upon a discourse community that you'll write about for this first paper. Start an outline that consists of your claim and major reasons that support that claim. Then continue drafting narrative material and organize it so it aligns logically with and supports your stated reasons. And this also goes with the guidelines. So if you have not taken a look at the guidelines already, I would definitely do so because it is a great help while deciding how to start the paper and also what you should be writing about or looking for. So basically what that whole lesson was about is it's important to start with your reasons. It's important to, hang on, let me start over from the beginning here. It's important to start with your introduction and thesis statement. And then once you have that point that may be something you learned about yourself or about the community or about belongingness, but this thesis really is up to you. So once you have your thesis statement and introduction done, you can go ahead and start writing your body paragraphs and what you're going to be thinking about in terms of your body paragraphs. It's not enough to just make a claim. So you need to also support your claim, supporting it with reasons. And your reason should state how you mastered ethos, logos, and pathos appeals that were specific to this particular community that you chose. Now, keep in mind, since this is a narrative-driven argument, you won't find evidence within the library or on the internet because it must come from you. You have to reflect deeply on your own experiences and provide specific examples and significant anecdotes that will prove to your audience that you did indeed learn to make successful ethos, logos, and pathos appeals to other members of this community. And then from there, in terms of generating narrative content or narrative material, you're going to be thinking about details that you've reflected deeply on, showing regard for your readers. Try to evoke emotions, sensations from the experiences that you have. And of course, if you need a further example of the essay, you can always take a look at the sample one about a student joining a dance community. But like I said, if you need further help, feel free to contact the Learning Center. You can always call them, or you can also find further details on how to contact them and how to make an appointment with them on my syllabus that I have shown you already. Anyways, that is it for today. Thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day.